Hi, and welcome to the What's Cooking Show. I'm your host today, Joey Quibido with Piggly Wiggly in Opelousas.
And I'm Chef Jason Huguet from the Steamboat Warehouse in Washington, Louisiana. And today we have Paul Io from E's Kitchen Supply right here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Paul, give us a real quick rundown on what we're going to be making today.
All right, today we're going to be making beer brined, and that means the pork chops are soaked in beer overnight. And of course, I use a local beer by Utesh Boucanier is in there. It gives it a little bit of smoky flavor. We're also going to have some cheesy garlic mashed potatoes, and I'm going to cook kale because it's very healthy, very good for you, and a lot of people just don't know what to do with it.
Very interesting.
Right.
So join us back for more What's Cooking in just a few minutes.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here in the What's Cooking Show kitchen, and we have Paul Io from E's Kitchen Supply in Lafayette, Louisiana, and we are going to start our potatoes first, right?
Yeah, we're going to start with the potatoes first because it's going to take the longest to cook. And he was admiring my knives, so I'm going to go ahead and let him use up the knives. We're going to go ahead and get those on a small dice. We do about 3 potatoes because there's only 3 of us. We don't have too much.
Yeah.
We're going to put those in into the water, get them boiling and everything. You want to get them to where they're fork tender. You don't want to get them past that because otherwise they're going to dry out. And yes, you actually can dry out potatoes in water. After you do that, what we do is we drain all the water out. I put the potatoes back in and let them saute just a little bit longer. You want to make sure you get rid of all that moisture. You don't want that moisture in there. So we'll take that out, and then you put in the butter, the seasonings, and the cheese. When you pull it off the fire right after the cheese melts, and then you'd add in our heavy cream. And I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, that sounds so rich and fattening. It's a very little bit of cream, and the cheddar cheese is a very strong, sharp cheddar. So you don't have to worry about
my favorite kind of cheese.
Yeah, right.
Sharp.
If you use cheese, if you use really strong cheeses, you don't have to use that much. You get the flavor that you want, you get the flavor that you need, and it boosts your cooking up just a little bit more.
No, that makes sense, yeah.
Well, yeah. Don't ever cheap out on the cheese or the toilet paper. That's a rule that you got to live by.
Especially on the toilet paper.
Exactly.
So these knives are sharp.
They sharp?
Just saying.
You like that?
They're very sharp. That's my
a
favorite.
special kind of knife, right?
Yeah, this is actually a Japanese knife called shun. We do sell them at our store. They are made just like a samurai sword. So the metal's been folded over. One metal is used on the edge. It's very, very hard, and it's got a softer steel on the outside so that it gives it the resistance that it needs so it won't be brittle and shatter. But yeah, they actually are at a sharper angle than the typical German knife.
Interesting.
It's nice.
I'm going to have to go buy me one.
All right.
A couple of them.
It's the perfect weight and everything, and just, you know, a good chef knife has to be.
Right, well, like I was telling when we first started out, they actually have on the back side of it, the handle's in the shape of a D. So whenever you grab it, your knuckles go around it, which is great for us right-handers. But if you happen to be left-handed like my wife, this is not a very good knife for you. They actually turn it, and they turn the handle upside down so that it's on the left side so that you can have a left-handed knife.
This would be a good knife for me to use in my kitchen, a Steamboat. That way no one would take my damn knives and want to use them.
That's it. All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and drop all the potatoes in there.
Right.
And we're going to put a little bit of salt in the water. I like having a little bit of salt in the water, not too much.
Gotta have some.
Yeah, you got to have some.
Just like that.
And if you put the lid back on, it'll help it come up to a boil a lot quicker. So we'll let some of the steam out. We don't want it to all get trapped in.
Well, Paul, tell us where exactly E's Kitchen Supply is located at.
E's Kitchen is at 1921 Kali Saloom Road. It's in the corner of Kali Saloom and Camellia. Nice shopping center called Park Lafayette. We have kitchen supplies, you know, the pots, the pans, the knives. What we'd like to say is we have everything you need to make cooking fun. And that includes the wine and spirits.
Oh,
that's the funnest
You're
part
right
of
about
it.
Which is why we have, you know, beer brined pork chops later on that we're going to be putting in. If you want to, we can go ahead and season up those pork chops right now. You want to do it?
Let's go ahead and throw it on.
Tell me
Okay, what we're going to do, go ahead and put a little bit of salt on them.
Okay.
And then what we're going to end up doing is we're going to use, oh no, that's paprika, cayenne, and this is Paul's blend, which is actually my blend. It's just a general use all purpose, but it's very low in salt.
That's the one. That's my favorite one.
Right. It doesn't have a lot of salt, so you can control how much salt you have, which is why we added some salt on there. Go ahead and sprinkle some of that.
Joey likes the one that's low in salt, but also very high in spice.
Yeah, this one's high in spice.
Oh, that's my kind of stuff.
Don't be shy with it. Go ahead, get it on there.
You know, Joey has never. I don't think Joey can have a spice that's too hot.
No, we're gonna put some serious spice on these.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
And this is
Don't put it on all 3 of them.
Uh-oh.
So
Not
Jason
the
was
spice
like,
spice.
We got a bad stomach this morning.
No, I just can't handle it. It's my palate, you know.
It's going to help it give a really good crust on these pork chops. And one of the things is you always want to pat the pork chops dry. You know this.
Yes.
Anytime you're cooking meats and everything, a lot of times everybody's like, why can't I get that big, nice sear on it? You've got too much moisture on it.
Yep.
So before we rolled the cameras and everything, I patted them dry. I took a couple of paper towels. I'm lucky they were paying for those, so I didn't have to. So, yeah, we just dried them off, and that's going to help create that sear that you want. So you want good heat, nice pans, help you cook better. Of course, cast iron works great.
My favorite.
Right. Today we're going to be using, this is going to be a griddle pan, so there's actually griddle marks inside of the pan so that it's going to.
coating?
It is a non-stick coating, so we don't have to worry about it sticking.
That's awesome.
Right, which is what we actually really like. Including, I mean, even this
That
pot's
one too, yeah.
non-stick, but what we really like about these non-sticks is they really don't stick, for one. Two, what it helps you do is use really good oils. Instead of using cheap oil, because you have to use so much of it, you actually use just a little bit of oil, and the oil helps carry the flavor, right?
Yes.
Fat carries flavor. You got to have fat.
definitely.
You got to have some kind of a fat. So that's where that comes in.
Fat tastes good too.
Yeah, we're actually going to end up using pecan oil. This is Louisiana-made, extra virgin pecan oil. Of course, available at East Kitchen. I think y'all have it at Piggly Wiggly too.
I think so, yeah.
I think y'all do. I use this stuff all the time. It has a really high temperature flash point is what they call, real high smoke point. So you can sear really, really high, which makes it great for shrimp, fish, and even some of your vegetables.
Tuna.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah, really low in taste and flavor. A lot of people ask us, you know, how's that compare to olive oil? And we just tell them, olive oil has a lot more flavor. This is a lot lighter. If you want to let the food shine through, use pecan oil. If you want olive oil and then Italian style or Mediterranean style, then you go ahead and use a really nice extra virgin olive oil.
True.
Sounds great. That's true.
Let's go ahead and put them on, and we can take a break.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let's go ahead and turn this on real quick. Let's see. Here we go.
Well, let's get it hot.
Yeah, we got to get it hot.
And then let's take a break while we get it hot. How about that?
We'll do that. We'll come back and What's Cooking in just a few minutes. Welcome back to What's Cooking Show. Again, we have Mr. Paul Io with us today from East Kitchen, and he's got a wonderful
Pork.
This is a meal.
pork. Yeah.
This is a full meal.
Yeah.
Full, yeah, I
I mean,
want
we're
to say
ready
a
to go
meal.
here. I like to call my cooking kind of updated South Louisiana cooking. It's not anything extravagant. I don't go over the top with a lot of my things. I don't have a bunch of sauces all over here, all kind of thing. That's your job. You do that. He does that fancy stuff. I just get stuff done. We've already got the potatoes going. We've got this pan nice and hot, and that's the key to getting a great sear. We're going to put just a little bit of pecan oil on there. And we don't need a whole lot, like I said, because this is a non-stick pan.
You literally don't need a lot.
No, I mean,
There's nothing in there.
that's like a quarter of a teaspoon, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway. All right. And of course, you're the meat man, so you know you got to use good quality meat. Don't buy the cheap, no good. And the other thing is, we want to make sure not to crowd the pan. So I've got 3 of them that we're going to put in here. But if I put any more than that, this will just crowd the pan way too much. Okay? And like I had said earlier,
it smells good already.
I know.
Man.
That already smells
Seriously.
good. What I had done with these is I let them brine overnight in a beer. Now, brining, what that does is it helps condense the moisture inside of the meat whenever you're cooking it. It helps it stay moist
Juicy.
and not going to dry out.
Whatever
it's
meat
stay
you're
juicy.
using, it's going to concentrate the juices inside the meat, and you're not going to lose it on your plate.
Right.
You know.
And I like, on this one I use the beer, and I said I use Boucanier from by Utesh Brewing. It has a little bit of a smoky flavor. It has a little bit of extra in there so that it brings it out. Now, you don't always have to do it in beer, but I like doing it in beer because in all the food, everything's soluble with different things. You got water soluble, you got fat soluble, and you got alcohol soluble. The alcohol is all going to cook out, so it's not going to be there. I could have brought some, but it's a little early.
It's never too early on this show, buddy.
Right. We've had Bloody Berries. We've had all kind of stuff.
So I put those in there. Now, the other way that I do brine is basically like if I do a turkey, I'll do a pound of salt, a pound of sugar, and a couple gallons of water. You mix that all together. You can put other seasonings in there. And I tend to always brine with some type of an alcohol, whether it be a beer, a wine, or some type of a spirit, just to help bring out that extra flavor.
Usually beer or wine.
Usually beer or wine, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've done it with whiskey.
Oh, that would be, damn.
Yeah,
Jack
we got some,
Daniels?
I got some whiskey in there. Now,
JD
Good old
Mahoney.
Jack.
y'all notice we have not touched these.
Touch it, yeah.
You just let them cook.
Let them do their thing.
That is
Let them get that color.
that's one of the biggest mistakes that most chefs make. My wife is a stirrer. She was born stirring. Gotta stir. Gotta get it stirring. So we're gonna cook these for approximately 3 minutes on each side, give or take.
I like mine medium.
You like your medium? Mm-hmm. I actually
Pork and everything.
Yep, that's one of those things a lot of people get upset. You know, they're like, oh, you got to cook it until it's well done. When
Those
you
days
cook
are
it-
over with.
Thank God.
Those well done pork, you got to cook it well done, cook it to death.
Yeah, and
Those days are long
if
gone.
you're really concerned, you get yourself one of these. This is a little itty bitty insert thermometer. You put that inside the meat. You know how hot it is. You know how well done it is.
Make
but
sure to put it at its thickest point and don't put it
Yeah.
next to the bone.
never touch the bone. Bones are going to stay too cool.
It's going to give you a different readout.
Right. And the reason you want to do that, because you want to make sure that this pork gets to exact done rightness. You can actually see the blood is starting to pool up on the top of it. That usually means it's about time
Time to
to
flip.
turn. So that's another way of knowing if you don't have thermometers. So we'll go ahead and we'll turn these over. Look at
Wow.
that.
That's
Look
nice.
at that grill mark.
Wow.
And Michelle, that's indoors, yeah.
no
Look, we didn't
kidding.
even have to go outside. Once again,
That is
we
nice.
flipped them over one time. We're not going to touch them.
Not gonna
We're
touch
going to
'em
leave them in there and cook just like that. Want to check on our potatoes, see if we got, let's see if those are tender yet. Probably not.
Probably not.
No, not quite yet.
It wasn't a rolling boil when we put it in, so
Keep it for
Yeah, it was a
few more
rolling
minutes.
boil.
yeah, it was.
We might need to turn that up. That might be it. Turn that up just a little bit.
This stove, yeah, turn it up.
You know, I have to laugh about it. Paul said about his wife being a stirrer. Well, my son, you know, Chad's going to Norway
Yeah.
and bringing back a ship back. He said their season was so rough the other day. He said, Dad, I had trouble cutting the vegetables. He said, and the pots were stirring themselves.
Come on.
He needs to
my
get some
God.
cutting boards like ours.
Yeah.
They stick in place.
That's
The
convenient.
vegetables won't slide up around as much.
This is awesome.
You like that one?
I like
Yeah,
that.
because, you know, the old school way is you wet your towel, put it down, and then you
Yeah.
put your cutting board on top.
Yeah.
And, you know,
No, these have, and we'll pick it up and show them real fast. If I don't catch that. This actually has a little rubber foot that's on the side, comes off so you can disinfect it. These are actually NSF safe.
Really?
So these could be used in a restaurant.
In a restaurant
For those
setting.
of you who don't know, NSF is this national certification thing that says you have to have a certain grade of stuff inside of restaurants and other cooking
you
establishments.
can't just use anything from the store.
No, you can't use just anything. So you have to be really careful. Most of our products at the store actually are NSF. I like to make sure that if you're buying from us, you're getting the high quality that you expect and that you deserve and you need for your cooking.
Speaking of stores, I believe y'all sell this
I
pork
believe
item
we
at
do.
the
I'm
pig,
sure
right?
we do. All this stuff, fresh stuff that Paul's using here today can be found at your local Piggly Wiggly stores in Opelousas. Two locations to serve you,
8410 Highway 182 North,
or
1305 Heather Drive,
and our sister store.
16229 Highway 1 in Simsport. If you ever in Simsport, check it out.
Hey, no, my God. Hey, look, I got some relatives up there in.
You got relatives everywhere.
I do. I come from them big Cajun families. I got some Broussard, some Deku in there.
Oh, you got
So
everything.
yeah,
huh?
we got it all over. No, my wife's family is from Avoyelles Parish, so she goes up there from time to time, visits them. I've been there a few times.
Really?
So yeah, and I mean, this is South Louisiana. I mean, we have good food all over the place.
You're right.
Now they like to fry it up there a little bit more than we like it down here.
There is. Well, let me not say that.
No, it's just a different way.
This southern Louisiana's where it's at. Central and southern.
Right around I-10. That's the you got to
Well,
stay in that I-10 corridor.
Well, don't say that because I'm a little north of I-10. So
We're gonna let it slide. It's all right.
A little bit, not
So
much.
we're gonna pull these off in just a minute and show you the rest of it. I think when we come back.
Okay,
let's do
sounds
that. And
great.
we can finish up our dish and we can plate it up and we can actually taste it. I'm starving.
Oh
Right
wait,
now.
I'm gonna leave some for y'all.
Oh no, we're gonna leave some for you.
So join us back for more What's Cooking in just a few minutes.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the What's Cooking Show. We have taken our pork chops off of the fire and they are looking lovely, pretty grill marks, and now Paul is going to finish our dish.
Right, we're gonna let
How we
them
gonna do
rest.
this?
Actually, I'm gonna get him to help me out so we can finish in time.
Sous chef.
I got one of the best sous chefs in town. All right, need that diced up for the kale and then rip a couple of those leaves off of there. And what we're gonna do, I've had these potatoes in here. I've got the fire on real low, just kind of boiling the moisture of water that's left off after we rinse them. After that, I'm gonna put in half a stick of butter and some cheese. Now, we just kind of slice that cheese up You can use a shredder or anything. Don't buy the pre-shredded cheese. Buy the the best cheese that you can get your hands on, because it's going to taste that much better.
It's like an onion. You want to cut it at the very last minute.
Yeah.
Don't want to pre-cut onions.
All right, and I'm going to throw a curveball here. I'm going to put some Pacific smoked sea salt in here.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
This is going to give it just a little bit of smoky flavor. It's kind of something that we like using over at the kitchen. And the really cool thing about this one is you don't need a lot of it. You just toss it in, put a little bit in, and of course we're also going to add a little bit of cayenne. Because why? Because we need some kick.
Because Joey's here, that's why.
That's it.
And
like my pepper.
be really careful with that, because that's the hot heat.
Oh, that's the
We got
hot.
hot and the medium.
I'll be the judge of
And
that.
we're also going to throw in some Hungarian paprika. And the paprika just gives it a little bit of a smoky flavor and a little bit of a color besides just a plain white. And like I said, we left the skins on there anyway. Now that we got all that in there,
Skin adds a little color too.
skin adds a little bit of color, that's right. The skin is where all the nutrients are, like we said earlier, and that's what you want. After we get that in there, we're going to turn this fire completely off, and we're going to use the boat motor.
Yeah.
Boat motor.
This comes,
The part I've been waiting for.
I know, this is so much fun. It's like power tools for cooking. So all this is going to mash up our potatoes for us, and it makes real fast work of all this. Now, you could do this really, really well and get it to where it's perfectly creamy, or you can leave it a little bit chunky. We're going to go ahead and leave it a little bit chunky.
I like the chunk.
You like a chunk?
I
All
like
right,
the
we're going to
chunk
like
of
a
mine.
chunk then. And the really cool thing about this one is, after we all said and done, bottom of it comes off, and it makes it a lot easier to clean. This actually is dishwasher safe in the top of the rack of the dishwasher.
So you got some cool little gadgets.
Yeah, that is neat.
That's
I know,
awesome.
This is so much
That is
fun.
making cooking fun.
That's what we do, is make cooking fun. Okay, so those are pretty much done. We're just gonna let them kind of cool off just a little bit, and we're gonna get started on the kale.
All right.
Once again, we're gonna use pecan oil. This time we're using a stainless steel pan, but we don't have to worry because this is gonna be real fast. All right.
You put those at the same time?
Yeah.
Throw
go
some
ahead.
garlic?
We can put them in at the same time. I usually put the onions a little bit ahead of time, but you can do it at the same time.
Yeah, let's do it. Make it easy.
All right. And once again, I only used a little bit of oil, but you want to use some of that oil so you can get them in there. You can get that nice and brown. You want to start peeling some of the stalks off of that kale. Once again, you want to put a little bit of salt in here, and
Sous
gonna do-
Chef Jason.
now these, unlike on the pork chops, you are going to want to stir this a little bit because you don't want it to brown
Yeah.
just on the part of the side or something like that.
And the garlic will burn quick.
Yeah. And we're going to put a little bit of cracked pepper. Now, you probably use black pepper.
Yes?
Okay, I use a gourmet pepper mix.
So
I
you
find it
do-
has a more rounded flavor.
The white peppercorns, black peppercorns, pink.
A little bit of pink, a little bit of green.
Green.
They're all in there. I like using that, and I use it at home and in the store, just because I like that I find it has a little bit more rounded of a flavor than just that
They all
big
affect your
black
palate
punch.
at different points of your palate.
Right.
Like red pepper, black pepper, white pepper. They all affect different parts of your mouth. So
So, Paul,
The
all
more
these
different
seasonings
types
and
you
stuff
use.
are all available at the store?
Yes, we have our own line of seasonings, and what ours are, there's no preservatives, no additives. They're 100% spice. Even our blends, like I said on the Paul's blend, it's a little bit lower in sodium. So if you have a sodium issue, you can come in, you can get some of our spices, and they're a little bit healthier for you. If you want more salt, it's really easy to add salt. It's very hard to take salt
take it out. You're right.
So
That's right.
that's what we end up doing. Now, kale is very, very healthy. The only thing is you have to know whenever you're doing kale, it's gonna wilt down, just like spinach
Spinach,
and
quick.
a lot of other greens.
Very quick. Very
right.
quick.
And I know in the olden days, or not so long ago, back when they were only using kale to decorate the plate, they'd want to cook it for hour after hour. They cook it all day long. I have found that if you cook it really quick, really fast, with some very simple ingredients, sweet onions, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, it eliminates that bitterness.
It's good to have a little bite to it also. Like
Yeah,
you don't
you
want
wanna have a little bit of bite.
Spinach is just,
You don't want to get
It
it
gets
too far
mushy.
gone, because if you cook it down too much, especially if you boil it, you're getting rid of all those nutrients that you
Yes.
really, really wanted. Okay.
It's
So-
it's like red people cook red beans, but they soak it first.
Yes.
And then they discard that water liquid, and then they start with they just start their beans without it. All those nutrients and vitamins you just threw away.
you just throw them away. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this plate over here because we're almost ready for it. Put it on there. I'll get you some of these potatoes.
Give me a lot.
Oh no, this is my plate.
Oh, come on. I thought we discussed that last segment.
Oh, well, I wasn't listening.
I'm going to
very
leave you some. Remember?
Yeah, we're going to leave you some. So you'll start to see this kale will start turning a bright, bright green. Okay?
Not many people use kale in a cooking aspect. Like you said earlier.
I actually have a neighbor
You
right
see
now that's going through some health issues, and her doctor's like, "Oh, you need to eat some kale." And both her and her husband, they don't want to eat the kale. They don't want to try it.
If you look at like those websites or places like that have different recipes for juicing, people who like to juice, all those detoxing juicing mixtures and things like if you need something to build your health back up, they all have kale in it.
Now, a lot of times I'd probably let this go a little bit longer, but we do have to plate up and we do have to finish this segment. So we're going to go ahead and put that on there. Now, these are done. They're perfectly edible. They're perfectly good. You don't have to keep cooking them. You can if you want, but they are ready. Whenever you see that bright, bright, vibrant green.
Yeah, it's brighter than it was fresh.
Actually, yeah, it is brighter than it is fresh.
It's that pecan oil, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's actually in there in the moisture. And the other thing, if like to help enhance this flavor, if you decide you want to add something to it, you could add some balsamic vinegar.
Yep.
Put the balsamic vinegar, just drizzle it up on top. You can put olive oil. You drizzle that on top. You could put some Parmesan Reggiano or Pecorino Romano.
Yeah,
that will help boost that
cheese.
Flavor.
Parmesan.
Fantastic.
Same thing.
And just to remind everybody at home, if you want a copy of this recipe that Paul did for us today, you can go to our website at kdcg.com and click on the What's Cooking Show, and all the recipes we've done on the show are there. And Paul's is going to be there shortly, as soon as Steve gets to it and everything else. Paul, we want to thank you so much for coming. This has been a wonderful show. Something we don't see very often is people cooking kale. It's probably the first time I've ever seen it, to be honest with you. But
well, you might have noticed I don't do normal.
Yeah, but this is pretty normal.
It's a little outside the box.
Yeah.
But look, this is something. Look, I mean, we did this in a matter of no time. We have a fully cooked meal ready to go, and
The
it's
potatoes
healthy.
took the longest. And
It's the healthy. It's all healthy, and it's great pumped up flavor.
I'm about to try.
Again, East Kitchen location?
1921 Kali Saloom Road, center of Lafayette, Camellia, and Kali Saloom.
And hours of operation?
We are open from 10 to 6, and we have cooking classes just about every week.
Great, fantastic.
Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming.
And thank you all for watching the What's Cooking Show, and we'll see y'all next week on another show.